Welcome everyone to episode 20. Every time we do another one, I'm just like, I'm actually shocked at what number we are. We're up to 24 of the Beast stands. Very much appreciated to all those who continue to tune in. I am your host, the Beast. What's good? On today's episode, I have some special guests who have been trying to get on for a while because these interesting personalities and they're very ingrained within the FGC. So yeah, please welcome Spaceghost and Rumours. What's good, guys?
G'day.
It's your boy
G'day.
Yeah,
it's Rumours. Yeah, nice to meet you all, I guess. Yeah.
And Spaceghost, what's good?
What isn't good? But real talk, thank you for doing this, Abby. First ever podcast interview experience, really.
Nice. I'm sure you'll be fine. I'm sure you'll be fine. Just think of it as us being a BKB.
No, I wasn't talking about it.
Just us talking shit as always.
just us talking shit, except now the cams are on us. It's eventually going to hit the internet, so...
It's recorded, basically. It's up there forever. There's no taking this down, right?
Yeah.
I mean, nothing to worry about, I'm sure.
Again, once again for being on. To start us off, what I like to do for new guests is just get an intro for how you guys got involved in the FGC, Australia specifically, since that's where we're at, and like little info in regards to the games you main. If you want to start us off, Rumours.
Yeah. Yeah, no worries. I think I'm pretty new to the FGC compared to others. I know like Xavier's been around for a while, but I think I only really started playing fighting games for about like maybe 5 years ago, like properly. Used to mess around like on Street Fighter 4, but I was playing on a keyboard, playing El Fuerte, so it was all mix up zero skill. And then Street Fighter 5 came out, and I started playing that same thing, with keyboard, just messing around. But at some point, I think I hit like a certain rank at some point, and I'm just like, all right, maybe I'll try and like actually get good at this. And I heard there was an event on at the Opera House in Sydney.
I remember that.
Yeah, the event itself was pretty shonky. I think it was like sponsored by Samsung, who like put these curved TVs out for the instead of monitors, and there was like this huge amount of like input delay on everything. But the actual people at the tournament there was like so cool. Like I went there, like didn't know a single person when I went there, and I just met all these people on the day. And from there, I started like attending YSB, going to more and more locals. And then it just started kind of snowballing from there. I started going to majors and traveling around Australia and internationally, I guess, now as well. So, yeah, playing Street Fighter, I guess, is my main game. But I'm learning Tekken now as well. Genuinely trying to put some time into that as well. So, I guess those are my main games for now, yeah.
Nice. We'll get into... I just wanted to bring up, I don't want to derail too much, but for someone who's so new, you have kind of made your mark on the scene.
Yeah, I mean, I hope I have. I think I'm one of those people who, like, if I'm doing something, I like to do it well. And I think with fighting games, it all clicked at a certain point. And I had an idea of, like, once I saw, like, the potential, I think, and how cool the community was, that this is something I wanted to put a lot of time into and actually invest and develop. So, yeah, I guess relatively I am new, but I'm hoping the mark that I make here is pretty significant. Yeah.
Nice. Space Ghost, yourself, give us the lore of how you entered the FGC. Make it as long or as short as you want.
For the FGC itself, I've been playing Street Fighter for 11 years, since Street Fighter 4 was at the arcades. The way I actually got into the FGC and Street Fighter was through playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! In high school, and then when I got pretty good, I ended up getting a job at Good Games in the city. This was in the year 2008, and there was a Street Fighter machine there. There were also Tekken cabs there. And because I was working for Good Games and running running Friday Night Magic, I got friendly with the people who used to run the tournaments on Friday night, and eventually stuck with them even after I stopped playing card games. And then 2014 ended up going to Evo. Didn't do too badly, like top 128 or whatever. And then The short answer is Yu-Gi-Oh got me into fighting games, and it's made the best friends that I've had. So I've traveled the world with them, and now I'm a part of a new team with, again, these friends. Rumours. Rumours is a new addition to this friendship group, but we're managed by Yusuf Fade, and yeah, I don't know. Fighting games made my dreams come true.
Nice. For those that don't know, both Rumours and Spaceghost, they got sponsored recently, but it's not your first time being sponsored, is it, Spaceghost?
No, it's funny because the owner and director of the organization that I'm sponsored by was someone who I met through playing Yu-Gi-Oh 11 years ago.
Oh wow!
And yeah, he's a very very talented guy who is a maths teacher at North Sydney Boys, and also works at a tuition academy. And he's very interested in trying to encourage young guys to find balance in working and also playing video games as like a form of de-stress, and then like create communities. So he was like, yeah, we want you, Spaceghost, and I was like, yeah, sign me up. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, all good. And I was just gonna say, yourself, Rumours, even though you've been in the FGC for like probably not as long as Spaceghost and most people, like it's not your first time being sponsored as well.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure if it counts like a technical sponsorship, but the first group that kind of like supported me was WP, who are like the Australian. I guess it's the kind of the home of Australia in Street Fighter. It's the main Discord. Basically, I got better there at games just by running lobbies in that kind of Discord.
Yep.
And at a certain point, the owners of Discord tried to, I guess, get together a team, and they sent us around to a few majors around Australia. And that was like my first kind of like experience with that. But then around like Gfinity start, we got picked up by Avant, which is, I guess it was more like Gfinity centered, but they did help us to get to SEAM in Singapore. And
look, we wouldn't have become friends like this otherwise.
Yeah, I think that honestly like cemented a lot of like how we actually got to hang out so much. Obviously, we knew each other from YSB and attending events, but I think the whole Gfinity experience like definitely brought us together. It was cool. I enjoyed it.
And
And
what was that experience like for the both of you? Just because you're on it for like
You first, Ewan.
I want to say two seasons it was.
yeah, Gfinity, it's this kind of odd mix, to be honest. It's like the biggest kind of like spectacle we've had in, I guess, Australian Street Fighter. I'm not sure about Tekken, to be honest, but I think in terms of like kind of like the reach and scale of the event, the money being poured into production, it was like so different to everything else. Because when you go to locals or like Australian majors, it's kind of like held at a uni somewhere, or I don't know. It's the scale of Gfinity for what it was so over the top, and it was cool. It was like so much fun to play on like a stage like that in front of knowing that it's being like broadcast like a lot more viewers than we normally used to. There's like a crowd, there's commentators, and all this production value. But then again, like the format itself was like also very different, and it didn't feel like, say, a traditional tournament. Obviously, because it was a team-based one, and also I guess the first one nature of it. So you have this kind of odd mix of it's so big, so over the top, but then the kind of concepts we know in the FGC of like your first twos, your first threes. That's how you determine skill. Your first to ones, who cares? It's just kind of like it's big, but then it's not that important. It's cool, but it's like it's first to ones. It's team based. It's
the reason we got the opportunity in the first place was because there was a group that was interested in trying to market and advertise aimed at the consumer market for like young people who play games, right? So really, we were just the kind of icing for the real vessel, which is, I guess, like advertising sponsors. That we got that opportunity was pretty amazing, which is why the format was like so how to say uncompromisable. But that's fine in the sense that like we're really lucky. The way I see it, we're really lucky to have the opportunity to play in a professional setting with a high production team to showcase like really good players that got to fly in from all around Australia. We're the really lucky ones in Sydney because we came and played with them every weekend, and it was like a mini major every weekend. It was
Yeah, that was awesome. That was like the training sessions at BKB every like Friday and Saturday when Gfinity runs. The best part of that, like just having everyone from interstate come over, regularly play them. Like everyone improved so much during that period.
Oh wow! So you had like a schedule where before the event of Gfinity, people would play beforehand.
people would fly in on Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah. And they would play all of Saturday to like 6 a.m. and then sleep for a few hours, wake up in the afternoon for Gfinity.
Yeah.
Dude, it sounds like a massive hyperbolic time chamber, literally.
It basically was like the amount of like times I got to play against people from Melbourne or Perth, who are otherwise like it's hard to play something. Yeah. Commitment to those guys. No, it was like I said, a hyperbolic time chamber. Like we all got so much better in both those seasons, I'm sure.
Yeah, and then after Gfinity, the timing was really good because Seam was after that, and then like a number of us who were playing in Gfinity flew to Seam, and the only person who got left behind was Bug. But...
Oh, the kid, dude. Did you hear about Bug? Do you know the story about Bug?
All right, so just first and foremost, congratulations to Bug.
Oh yeah.
Kanga. Kanga Esports, they're another Australian esports organization. Rumours and I representing Genuine Gaming. So this has been a pretty big week, I think, for the fighting game community in Australia.
100%.
They picked up Bug and Rec as well, I know, and
Dude, they picked up a lot of people across a lot of games. It's just it's been madness. I don't think it's gonna stop.
The sentiment, I think, is that like the only way that you'll grow the community is if you create more participant interest for the casuals to strive to get better, play more. And the organization that we're a part of, Genuine Gaming AU, will be running events in the future to incentivize people for just like participating in offline locals. So like there'll be like casual prizes and like I actually think that there's a stick that might be coming for like people just for joining tournaments. Anyway, I don't want to jump the gun. And back to the point was, unfortunately, Bug didn't realize that his passport expired in 5 months and 27 days. But Singapore has a policy that if your passport expires in less than 6 months, no compromise, you are not allowed to enter the country.
Oh no!
So,
yes, he got turned away at the airport. I was like watching him in the line, and he walks away. His check-in bags are still in hand. I'm like,
oh no, that sounds horrible.
What's going on, Mark? And he just watching this sad walk back to me. He's like, they didn't let me. I'm like, what do you mean?
Oh my god, that's horrible.
It was heartbreaking. It was genuinely like the most uncomfortable experience. You're just like,
oh
shit.
my god.
And it was literally like 3 days off.
Dude, I've had like my brother had a similar experience, but nothing on that level. Like he had forgot identification at the last second as we were boarding, and like, we can't let you go because you have no ID. And he just, it was a trip I paid for him to like have a vacation and whatnot. I'm like, he had to go. He had to go back home. Dude, that sounds even worse. I mean. He
was talking about how much he'd been practicing for Seam all week. Like he was just going on. I've been laughing everything. I'm so ready. He was so hyped, and then disappointment.
I can't imagine paying for going to Evo and being
like
being directed back.
Dude, the worst thing is like Xavier was saying there's no compromise. I think like Som was saying a similar thing happened to him, and he's like, yeah, I'm just going to a tournament. I'm a pro gamer, and he like showed them like some articles or something about him, and they let him through. And it was just like, and it's like Bug didn't. If he could have talked his way through it, maybe I don't know. But apparently it's not that hard and fast to rule. But
DS Somniac, Australia's most known Street Fighter player. I think.
Shout outs to Bug. That's an unfortunate situation, but I guess every cloud has a silver lining.
We in there, he in there, and Gfinity will be back. Not sure what's going to happen to Yuvan and I. If Avant are watching and they still want us as a team, Genuine Gaming are more than happy to. What's the word? lease players.
See,
Yeah.
it's
I think
it's an interesting situation because I think Darksider do something similar with Somniac and ZG.
GG. Yes, that's right. Um, the uh, the Chiefs do hire those Darksider players, and also was also played for Sydney Roar last season.
That's true.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. But yeah, be on the lookout for Gfinity, which recommences after IEM.
Yeah, I think I'm actually like pretty keen for Gfinity, and like it was overall like honestly a ton of fun. Like putting aside like the whole True Street Fighter thing experience, whatever, it was just cool. It was like the experience and the scale. Like I had
good players, and then playing together, and just like we all have to tolerate each other's presences. Like
yeah.
That's what the real arcade experience is about, in my.
I heard like people at work like talking about the event. They were like they heard an ad for it, and then like actually one of the directors at my firm came to watch me play, and he brought his family and everything. And I thought that was like really cool because I'm like, hey, look, there's some like actual people outside of like my fighting game community who seem interested enough. And he came back a second time as well because he thought it was so cool. Yeah,
he was really tough when we won.
Yeah, he was really happy. The jet stage I got as I walked off stage after we lost. Oh my god, he didn't even say a word.
Yeah, my take on it is, when you get past the idea of the format that we're not used to because it's an irregularity, but I just take it as a different experience. I mean, Gfinity is its own setting, and it created a lot of eyes on the FGC. So I was more than happy to see it happen. And it got huge publicity. The amount of people that tuned in every Sunday to watch, even internationally, was quite wild. I can't imagine what it must have been for you guys, the actual players, being in that scenario.
What was the term that we coined, Yuvan? Just another day at the office?
Oh no, I think we coined it. The commentators kind of every time they saw us, it was just like, oh yeah, these guys look pretty calm. It's just another day at the office for them. No, yeah, I think at a certain point we got used to it. I think the first week or two was pretty like jarring. Like I said, going from like your YSBs or your own.
Not for everybody, because you have like camera crews. That's not to mention like there's literally there's a command center room full of people all on camera editing and video editing, and ready to cue that ad in 3, 2, and like the production of like the whole the production of the whole
what's it, the show?
Production. The production of the whole production is actually like commercial tier. So thank you Gfinity for giving the FGC a chance.
I just hope the next time they run it, I hope Street Fighter gets either like a bigger spot. I think for us, like knowing like the grand finals is the exact same format as the entire main season, and knowing that Street Fighter had the slowest pot, I guess, of all the games when it was bringing the biggest numbers, it's like I hope to see that and be like, all right, we need to make this a bigger thing.
The crew by far like the Street Fighter players the best, but I think that's because fighting game community like individuals tend to have more character, whereas the CSGO guys, as is this is just my perspective, by the way.
Yeah, I was gonna say. No, you're right. CSGO players objectively.
The views of Spaceghost do not reflect that of the B stands.
But they do closely mirror it.
Nah, dude. Yeah, that's fine. Nah,
because the CS community is notoriously toxic. They know this. I think it's a team game and a tribal game, so people are actually, I suppose, entitled to be more sensitive. Rocket League players, as the name and its whole aesthetic totally suggests, is for like kids.
I think it's not just that, but it's also the issue of an individual personality trying to come out of the team element. It's a lot more hard.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, the only way you stand out is if you're an angry Ken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first 2 seasons of Gfinity were great, and like you're saying, it'd be great to see to get a little bit more spotlight, in a grand final sense or pop bonus. But I think you guys did well for yourselves, showcasing what not just Street Fighter but the FGC is all about.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to hear that. Like, I think there's always kind of like this thing in the back of my mind. It's like, yeah, people are watching. It's not just like, yeah, randoms from I don't know whoever's watching it, but it's also the FGC. And if it's the biggest event, you want to make sure you're repping it well, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when you're on the stage and you're doing all of that, I think most of it you just forget. The moment you're up there, I'm just like, all right. There's a game. It's just like any other. I'm just gonna play it. And then afterwards, the interviews happen, and you're like, oh yeah, there's this stuff as well.
Did you have any in particular memorable moments from the experience?
I mean, I think my favorite one is when I 3-0'd Roth. I think I'm not gonna lie, I took a lot of joy in that one.
Mm-hmm.
I think basically like all of season 1, when we've won on the last game every week, basically.
Yeah.
We called it basically like our ritual.
Like you played down to the very final match, and then Rumours just like clutched it out. It was so hot, so hot until it was cold.
Was Order always going to be the team to beat?
No, we've never lost to them.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we haven't lost. Yeah, both times we've cleaned them up.
Mm-hmm.
I actually cleaned them up. I think it was probably like a 4-3 and a 4-2. Was it? I can't remember. 4-3, 4-3. Yeah.
It's always been 4-3.
Yeah, what am I saying? Of course, whenever we won a series 4-3. Yeah, both times we beat them. I haven't lost I think I played Roth and Bug. I didn't get to play Travis, who is probably their strongest player.
Yeah. It's yeah. I mean, it's not that Roth isn't great as well.
No.
But Travis is just very consistent against us.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, whoever goes against Travis has to. We call them the tank because they soak up his boxer. Just like, take those L's because we just need Juven to get us over the line and the other person to win one.
That's it. That's the strat.
Do you attribute that to him? Like, I don't want to take away from him because obviously he's a great player, or his character, Boxer. How guys are you proficient in with that?
He plays extremely well for the format,
Mm-hmm.
which is like the solid Boxer, like a defensively offensive game of just slowly cornering you, and then not needing to take as many risks, I suppose, because his Travis's neutral game is like super solid.
I think Travis is one of those players who I would say, like, comfortably, it's never gonna be like him being carried by his character. I've watched the man play, and I can see like his neutral and his actual like what he's doing overall in the game sense. It's all like top tier. Like the character helps, like playing like any person playing a good character, but it's mostly him.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost that's it. Season 2 Balrog, piece of shit. That thing was busted as hell. That had to go. He was getting carried by Season 2 Balrog further than he should have. But right now it's him. Yeah. No. Nothing but respect for Travis.
No,
they're good guys. Even though I know that, like, how to say, Roth often comes across as a repugnant prick.
What? All right.
Like, well, I say this from the sense that, like I respect him very much as a player, and I would even consider him a friend. But he doesn't really care too much about the way in which other people perceive him. It's kind of like F-Champ. I compare him very much to. He's like an Australian F-Champ. He wouldn't be as good as he was if he didn't have that kind of like egotistical drive to like prove to himself, and I suppose somewhat by proxy other people.
Do you get that from him mainly because, you know, he's like, you get that from him on the show mainly because he might be wanting to build a character because of the because it's Gfinity, because
but it's not just the Gfinity. I think, like, I don't know, when we first met him, he's basically been pretty consistent. He plays it up a little.
Personality.
Yeah, he plays it up a little in Gfinity. Of course, he's playing a character, he says, but like, I think it's not that far. It's not that gross an exaggeration of his general demeanor, I think. And again, I consider him a friend, and he's a good player and everything. But I can definitely understand why people
think he's a dick.
Yeah, like legitimately, like what do you want? Like,
But I
I
think
don't.
he means well, but he doesn't care what other people think. And I guess I'm like, to compare the two of us, right? I'd say I'm a lot more diplomatic. And
Are you though? Hi. I've seen your Facebook.
Ixnay, Ixnay. All right. Did you have an agenda? I'm sorry, Abby. I never really tuned into your podcast, so I'd like to
No,
know
yeah.
what you'd like to know. What are the thoughts on the Beast's minds?
I just wanted to get. Well, we can segue into Street Fighter because it's still a topic that I wanted to discuss. I wanted to get your thoughts on both your thoughts on the game currently, since it's the game you main.
The game currently, honestly, it's in a pretty good place. I think everyone can
Because
like comfortably.
honestly, both of you have been playing from launch, I assume.
Yep. Yeah. And launch was rocky to say the least.
Yeah.
I think everyone can comfortably admit Street Fighter 5 at launch had more than its fair share of issues. And that's not to say like a lot of fighting games on release I've found have been pretty poor. Whether like the big ones are obviously like online matchmaking, netcodes, that's pretty prevalent. But I think Street Fighter 5 at its launch had gameplay issues, like fundamental ones.
Yeah, and specific to, I know we might specifically be talking to us as FGC individuals, but even to like the casual audience, it was lacking in a lot of content.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I think by that point, I don't touch single player content.
Yeah,
but I know there are people who do care about it. But at the same time, like, do people honestly play arcade mode? Like the
dude, you'd be surprised. You'd honestly be you'd honestly be surprised. Not just Street Fighter, but like all fighting games. Like you, I think it's a very big mistake for any organization to neglect their casual audience, because I think
100% agree. I think like adding an arcade mode, it seems like such a low investment, like safe reward type situation. Just like put it in, like just like 100% put in some sort of single player content. But I honestly thought like kind of like the overblown kind of anger coming from the FGC community itself, who realistically don't play the single player content, I think seemed a bit ingenuine to me.
I don't think that was the only reason people were upset come the game launching.
100%. Like they said, the fundamental game flaws. That's but like the single player content, like I pretty ambivalent about that.
Yeah, like I said, it depends on whether you're talking to the random individual or the FGC. But, yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree.
The game also came out coincidentally at a time where people have been more, vocal on social media about their gripes with like game developers and companies. So like, while the game did have its flaws as well, there's I perceive a growing culture of entitlement in lots of people, because the people do have more power than they did before, like with old like arcade games, or like when Melee came out, for example. It's like, oh, we need to listen to consumer popularity about this character being broken or this game mechanic being undesirable. But yeah, people do tend to complain, I feel, in more it's more culturally acceptable to complain about things than it was.
Of course. I mean, like it's just easier, right? Like if you wanted to right now, you could go being like, "Hey, Harada, what the fuck is this?" And then you'd be like complaining about some dumb shit that happened in a game. You can reach out to the developers right now. They're like right there. I think it's just like ease of access. I mean, you wouldn't have that same access.
But the product was not a finished game when they put it out. And the state that it's in now, I suppose, is like, well, they've fixed as much as they could of what was what people generally complained about most. They didn't fix the fundamental issue of how difficult the game is to like whiff punish and actually play actual whiff punishing in the neutral.
Hey, you seen my whiff punishes? They're clean. They're clean.
I've seen it, bro. I've seen it. but the game is like, for all its simplicity and for how like people often make the comparison of Street Fighter V to be like building blocks as opposed to Street Fighter 4, which was like a lot of tech and technicality.
Yep.
Street Fighter 5, the word I would use to describe it is grueling. It's super punishing, and I play Guile, of course, so I'm not a very flashy character. But if I make one mistake, and then it's the kind of game where you make two mistakes and you lost.
Well, like, yeah, you see that, and then I don't know if you guys saw the reveal or like the second gameplay trailer for the Samurai Showdown.
Mm-hmm.
Towards the end of that trailer, there was just like, it looked like one hit into like a super, and that shit did like 80%.
It did
I don't know,
crazy. It did. Well, I eventually want to bring up that and like the other games on the EVO reveal, but yeah, we'll finish this.
Yeah, and like I see that, I'm like, well, Street Fighter looks so tame compared to that. I'm like, oh shit, Street Fighter, it's like baby little damage. You did 40%. Who cares? Like that thing, I saw one hit into like a CA. I'm like, oh.
Did you say SNK? Who cares? No.
No, I think the game's at a good place now. I think it's just a shame it took so long to get here because they lost a lot of community goodwill by doing the early release, I guess.
It looks close to the end of its like
Yeah, that's the thing. We're close to the end of the SF5 cycle now, so I hope Street Fighter 6 doesn't take as long to get going.
How long's the game been out? It feels like it's been out for a while now.
2015, so for nearly 4 years.
This is the 4th season.
Oh wait, no, yeah, 4 years. Yeah. 4
Yeah.
years.
Wow, it's been out 4 years. Man, where's the time gone?
Yeah, I know, right? Jeez.
Yeah,
Where's taking it?
2016 February. I guess 3. No, come on. Fire up.
At least 3 years.
This is the 4th season, so this is the 4th year, right?
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense, I think.
But it has come a long way. I hope Capcom have learnt.
Yeah,
know?
that's the thing. I hope next one they just like cut out all like the messing around with learning to develop a game. Like they should know by now.
It's only been out for 3 years.
Yeah.
Oh, because we played beta in 2015. That's right. Yeah, the beta was out for a while.
I didn't play
beta
that.
was so fun. Like
The...
I don't know if you guys played the beta.
No, I didn't.
No,
I heard Birdie was.
I played the beta. I actually played Street Fighter a lot. Come the beta and its release because I don't think Tekken was out at the time. I actually didn't mind it. But yeah.
But like when Tekken comes out, you're going Tekken. Yeah, I get it.
That's
So all the way.
That's how it is. I think just like there were very divided opinions on the game, but you know you're never gonna be able to please of everyone. But I think it's in a good spot now for where it's come.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pro player perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter so much how good the game is because they'll never make the perfect game. As long as there are people playing and you can feel like you improve your understanding of the game and that's reflected through your ability to demonstrate your understanding of the game against your opponents, then the game is sound. The mechanics, the design of the game is sound.
See, but the thing is, people, regardless of how good or bad the game is, that people are always gonna play Street Fighter. I feel like the name is too big for people to not play.
Capcom Go. Yeah.
But like, I mean, Street Fighter Cross Tekken, that didn't go anywhere, did it?
Yeah, but
I
that's the only reason that didn't go anywhere because you had an alternative in Street Fighter itself.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
If you don't have an alternative, then people are probably gonna stick with playing what's there.
I don't know. I feel like there would be like a bottom limit of like the acceptability of the quality of a game before people are like, nah, the franchise isn't worth this anymore, right? Like, I get people,
especially with the Pro Tour where, like, just say for example, a pro player didn't really preference Street Fighter 5 over 4, but there's money to be made in Street Fighter 5. There's a Pro Tour, there's events, so you put your preference aside to try and grind a game that you might not like as much. So
yes, that's what happening's about. That's the pro player mentality, which is why you see all the melee players, the top melee players, have all like, people say sold out, but like Leffen and Hungrybox are gonna play Smash Ultimate to grow the community because that's still the title is Smash, right? And the people are interested. You know, it's #1 game at Evo right now for signups, which is like Nice.
It's basically like number one in Australia as well, right? I don't know about like.
Are we entering Smash Ultimate at Evo?
I'm happy to do it. Let's put me in.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll enter as well. All right.
Yeah, I'm doing.
We just confirmed you guys going to Evo. Is that news? Was that not supposed to be?
Sorry, that was the announcement, by the way.
Yeah, that's the announcement. We've been talking about it for a while. I think I think I've always wanted to go, but I think this year just lined up. So
Nice.
I'm 100% going to Evo.
Speaking on international travel, SEAM was your first. I guess it's called SEAM Major now.
Evo Japan. Then.
Oh, you guys both went to Evo Japan.
No. Oh, right. No, SEAM was the first time we went together, but he went to Evo Japan.
I went to Evo Japan last year.
Okay. Was that your first international experience?
First I think first fighting game overseas, and also like the first time I went traveling, I guess without family. So that was a huge
yeah, I'm
massive,
always I want to get your perspective on versing international competition, because I'm always keen to see how people pro players here measure up the experience here between that of international competition.
I think there was when I first went, I was expecting the gap to be a lot larger than I thought it was. And when I got there, I think we. Look, I'm saying we're not that far away. Yeah, I think SEAM was the one where I got to sit down and actually play a lot of pros. So I got to play Problem X, who won Evo last year. Got to play Fujimura and all these names I'm gonna miss up now, but I got to play a whole bunch of the top Street Fighter players, and against most of them, I was trading games. I think against Human Bomb I went 5-4 in a set.
Wow,
it is on. It is on. I went 4-3 or something. We were playing just random games. Problem X as well. But he started the game. He started the set. And he's this matchup's a 9-1, right? Because it's Abigail just crushes Birdie, and he's I'm yeah, I know. And then I won the game.
Big chopper.
I won the game. He's that's your one. That's your one. You're not getting any more. I think he watched me 7-3 or something. It was a mass. I've never played an Abigail that good. But the fact is at the time you realize, hey, I'm not that far off. I think if I put in got to play those people more regularly, the gap would shrink. I think we're all very capable of doing it. It's just we don't get the luxury of traveling and playing those top players as much.
That international caliber exposure.
Yeah.
Which is really what levels you up more than anything else. It's because in game you see them adapting to your decision making, and then you're oh wow, I've already been figured out before. So you're forced to reevaluate how you approach the game to try to take games off. Like Nemo, who was eating my jumps, and I felt great jumping in on Nemo. I'll tell you what.
Dude, Nemo just washed me. Nemo was actually the hardest international I played for me. Maybe it's just the styles or whatever, but that guy cleaned me up.
Maybe. Yeah, my style is good against Capcom.
So your biggest takeaway is the gap is mainly due to international exposure. Among possibly other things.
Yeah, I think there's obviously.
I also wanted to bring up. I don't want to. How much of an influence BKB has been just as a regular training ground, because that's not that's something a lot of players don't get, the frequent games and the frequent
offline community experience is the most gratifying and also beneficial thing for players who are trying to get better, right?
Because just on the previous podcast, Rec and Alchemist just brought up, just we saw. I don't want to touch on it too long, but we saw the growth in those guys, and they attributed to the offline presence and the sessions at BKB and being able to play regularly. And I just wanted to.
Dude, they are 100% correct. Having BKB as a venue in Sydney, where you can go every week and play local games, talk to each other, level up. It's insane how much it contributes. I started Tekken, I think, relatively recently compared to most. I started on and off. I played a bit at launch, then dropped it because the game was kind of shonky at the time. I think everything surrounding the main game. But just going to BKB, learning from like Rec and the other Tekken people there. Like, I haven't put as much time as a lot of others, but the fact that they're like we have that kind of venue, we're so lucky. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so happy it exists. Every time I think about it, I'm just like,
you could say that you've had some growth on the Street Fighter side of things because of it.
yeah, in every fighting game we play there, yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
My advice to every single person would be that if there exists the opportunity for a consistent offline casual event or meetup or place where you can play, support it. Support it with like.
It's why like everyone keeps saying go to your locals. It's like it's one, it's just support your community, but two, but you get so much better just going to locals. It's insane. So yeah, BKB Stefan, amazing addition to Sydney. Couldn't be happy. I'm going there tomorrow.
Couldn't be here now.
Yeah, you're literally there now. Yeah, goddammit.
Nice. So yeah, I guess you guys came back hungry after Evo Japan, because I know I do after like not only traveling internationally but getting to play a whole different like
unless you have a really bad experience and it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and then you're just like, oh man, like F this game or whatever. But no, the game doesn't owe you anything, and if you get to travel, if you get to play and you get put in your place, like people just making you feel like you're actually shit at the game, if you can't pick yourself up from like those L's, then I'd say probably fighting games is not for you. Sorry, Capcom.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Alright, let's segue into you guys did mention Evo, and at this one point I did wanted to bring up the Evo reveal, if you guys don't mind.
Yep.
I just want to see if I can bring it up now. The list. 9 games were revealed in all. Hang on, I'm just gonna bring it up.
Wow, Street Fighter 5 is third. That's so bad.
Checking.
Have you got a numbers?
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Oh, I'm just looking at the Evo like Twitter. Like they've just put like the leaderboard for like I think signups. Got Smash is obviously first, Tekken, then Street Fighter.
Soul Calibur,
then Unist over Mortal Kombat. Dang.
So I guess it has. Okay, the list is Unit. Oh, I'll go in order of how they were released. Yeah. You had Tekken 7, which is no surprise. Street Fighter, no surprise either. Smash Ultimate, which was no surprise. It was always going to be that Smash.
Yeah.
And then from there, I can't remember the specific order, but I think it went SoCal, which I was either SoCal or BlazBlue Cross Tag. So I'm not very.
No. Oh yeah.
I'm not very entrenched in anime gaming, but I know that's very popular. Like I think it's the most recent anime game out.
Anime game came out. Yeah.
It is, like BlazBlue is kind of like this weird place. I feel like it split the BlazBlue community, which is also kind of small, as it is.
Because it's encompassing Guilty Gear and BlazBlue.
Well, yeah, I think there's a lot of people who still want to play Central Fiction. I guess it's kind of like 4 and 5 or whatever. It's just there's so many new mechanics. It seems a bit simpler, to like maybe those people playing BlazBlue, but it's a fun game. I bought it like a little while ago, but I've been playing it honestly like just for a week straight because I wanted to pick up like just an anime game. Yeah, dude, I'm playing. I'm gonna register for Evo for this thing. I'm gonna play it at Wise Beach on Saturday. Yeah, I've been playing for like a week straight. Me and Sire have just been grinding it every night, and it's like crack. It's just fun, over the top, like it's flashy as hell. So like I'm happy to see it. Don't get me wrong, but I know a lot of people would be like, "Oh, we wanted Central Fiction," just like people would say, "Oh, we wanted Melee." Or I think at a certain point, at the cop that the new games are gonna be the ones that stay on, like go on the roster, right? Like,
so yeah, we got that, and then I think SoCal was announced, which I was honestly, I was half surprised and not, because it did, because you're talking to someone who does play Soul Calibur. I played it upon release. I've seen the interest in it slightly decline, and I'm not sure if that was going to be a factor in it being on, depending what other game was before it. But I'm genuinely happy to see it given its fair shot.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's sad, like the Australian community has like kind of like just let it slide. And that's I'm not saying because I don't really play it myself, but everyone kind of hyped it up so much. They were like, "This is gonna be like, you know, the next 3D thing." This like that, and you go to the, I guess I'm not sure what the Reddit numbers are like at YSB, but they can't be good. I mean,
I was actually at the last YSB, and the numbers, like, look, there's no disputing that Soul Calibur is a niche game, and it's not gonna pull the numbers that like a Tekken will or a Street Fighter will. But even still, I was surprised by the numbers at the last YSB, like the numbers at the launch tournament for each of the monthly locals in Sydney and Melbourne were actually good. So I think you'll see it do well at a major. We still haven't had a major yet. Maybe TFC will get a good showcasing. 100% BAM will. But yeah, you know, we are in Australia as well. You'll get good numbers in more so in Europe, in America. But I'm just glad it's getting its fair shot.
Yeah, no, I think it's a cool game. I just like I said, I want to see it on the stage as well because it's fun to watch. So yeah, I'm happy to see it. I have no complaints.
Okay, next was Mortal Kombat, I think.
Yeah.
Which was a no-brainer.
That's always gonna make it.
Oh yeah, like new NRS game, like it's coming out.
Yep. NRS community.
Yeah.
100%. Dragon Balls was announced next, I think. I can't remember the order, but yeah, 100%. That was always gonna be there. That was the highest entered game at Evo last year. So yeah.
And then it's the next two, I think, are like the controversial ones, right?
Yeah. Here's where we get controversial. I mean, who really saw Samurai Showdown getting announced? Like, there's no release date for it. Yeah, I think it's early 2019, which could mean anything. There's been no gameplay. There was one trailer at the time. Yeah, I think that shocked a lot of people.
I don't think anyone would have pegged Samurai Showdown to be on the main lineup for Evo. Like, you have to have been in the know to know that. That's so left field.
Mr. Wiz is a troll.
Like, he's gonna 2 weeks now. He's gonna be like, you know, like a month from now, early April Fools, Melee's back on.
All right. If you had to replace one game with one game, what would it be? And hard mode, not melee. So.
Melee's not there anyway. Right? What are we replacing it with? Oh, is it we're not putting Melee back in? Right. Samurai for Guilty Gear. I think Guilty Gear was like, doesn't it pull like the biggest numbers? It's flashy as hell, fun to watch.
Oh, yeah, I love watching Guilty Gear. I don't understand it fully.
Yeah,
but
I have
even
no
still,
idea what's happening half the time. Like, I see some stuff.
Kenamanichi was amazing. If you guys watched Ogawa against Machabo, like that when Daigo did that like top Japanese like Titans versing each other, they did that 1 to 10 set, which was actually fucking amazing. But
I missed that, but I can imagine. Like, yeah, I think Guilty Gear is just so cool. It's got like so much style, and I don't see any of those other games on the list like replacing it.
I want to ask you guys a question. I don't know how much you in the know regarding the game, but were you surprised at all that Dead or Alive wasn't announced?
They
What's the? Oh, it's so easy to make the joke. But it's
the core values weren't strong enough.
Yeah, it just doesn't fit the core values of Evo, does it? I mean,
you know that counter on counter. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't played Dead or Alive since I used to read Picture magazine. And that's what they took out of the game as well in this latest rendition, isn't it? It's a lot more less risque and fan service oriented than its previous titles. So,
which still might be too much for Evo.
Yeah,
like even being less risky than.
Would you prefer risque or hardcore violence in the form of Mortal Kombat? I mean, pick one.
I mean,
no, I enjoy both spectacle aspects of its aesthetics, right? Like I did like DOA on Xbox, DOA 4 on Xbox when I was playing it, but it's like
But yeah,
sorry, DOA.
I honestly don't know what I'd take out to replace with what. We kind of jumped the gun with the last pick, which was Under Night Birth. No one saw that coming. But I've heard it's very, very popular For
core anime.
Yeah.
It's a good core anime game.
Yeah, I think it's just as far as anime games go, it's just well made. Like I'm not sure like how popular it is though, but
I heard it's very popular in the States, not popular in Japan, in Asia, not as much though. But to be honest, I'm of the mindset that I would like to see games that haven't gotten their light get the shine.
Got their limelight?
Yeah.
Like Dropkick or like
Well,
it was a foot dive. Sorry, that was the name.
Foot dive. I'm sure that game has seen enough limelight. It doesn't have to be on the Evo scale.
Or what was the other one that came out? The Flash or Footsie?
Footsie.
Oh.
I don't think I've played that one yet. Yeah.
It's like a black and white 2D. Yeah, like
yeah. That was the High Fight game.
yeah.
Well, I think there's a scene for people who play Sailor Moon, but thankfully that will never get run at Evo.
Mm-hmm.
If they did a Third Strike, I might even be a little bit excited if there was like a good Third Strike event at Evo, or good Street Fighter 4 revival. I don't know. I'm a Capcom shill, guys. I'm sorry. But yeah. Or the Pony Fighter.
Yeah.
Wait.
That's actually
something herds or whatever it's called.
Them's fighting herds. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the Evo lineup. And honestly, the No Melee edition was, it was.
Is it wrong to say it brought a bit of joy to me? Like, is it like, am I a bad person?
That's very true. Because you missed what I said before. So you say your bit rumors, and then I'll make my official FGC apology to Melee. So go on.
Like you said, there's so much of it that seems to be like trapped in the past, and I get people want to keep playing the game that they enjoy. I get it, but Evo is something bigger than just like individual communities. I think it's kind of like it's trying to be like the presentation of modern fighting games. I think it's not. If it was trying to capture like individual things, it would never have grown to the scale that it has. I know I'm contradicting myself because Melee brought in huge numbers and it always does. And yes.
Right.
But goddamn, how old is it now? Like
no,
how?
100% know what you're saying.
2004? Oh wait, 2000
It's over a decade old. It'll never die.
Yeah.
17 years old if I recall. Wait, so that would make it 2002. No, I think 2003, 2004. Anyway, so my official apology to the Smash. So I've known lots of tournament organizers' attitudes towards Smash players, and that's not to say that bad Smash players are in any sense a representative reflection of the community itself. I have a lot of respect for the Smash community because they have somehow gone above and beyond what the rest of the fighting game communities tried to do, which is create a real cohesive, like a safe community for strangers who all share an appreciation for a game and just play together and all of them battle it out in what they consider to be the perfect fighting game. They've been doing this for many years, and it's brought fighting games further than any other fighting game, honestly, has brought communities together. But that being said, from a tournament organizer's point of view, Smash at Evo would be worse than a logistical nightmare because I get that kids are really enthusiastic and passionate about carrying their CRTs and stuff, but there's a tournament schedule to run, and if anybody watched Genesis 2 weeks ago, then if that's anything to go by, then shit's gonna run over time if you try to cater to everybody. So Nintendo, with their newest title of Smash Ultimate, have finally gotten the justification to say, sorry, Melee players, but grow the fuck up, and adapt. And that's why Hungrybox, Leffen, those top players, in order to grow the new community, they're now mainlining the Smash Ultimate title. Not to say that they don't still love Melee, as I'm sure that all Melee players can testify. There's no game like Melee, but sorry. Evo's got better things to do, like Samurai Showdown.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's just it. We don't even know what it is. It's probably we'll take a chance. It's probably better, right?
And I think people are forgetting like the business that Evo has become. It's
Yeah.
like it's no longer just your grassroots tournament. It's just like let's cater to all like our favorite fighting games. Like no, it's like there's a little bit of you have to address like monetary gain in a sense as well, and you don't really get that from Melee at all.
Right. Nintendo don't like supporting Smash. Merely. Don't like supporting
I
me.
don't think they do at all. Ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just ignore it altogether, right?
Well, holding an event is a form of support, or at least allowing for event. Because Nintendo's policy on permissions of their intellectual properties is like very, very
Restrictive, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Pokemons.
Were you guys surprised by the Sunday lineup, the games that are held on the Sunday? You have
DBZ on Saturday is a tactically genius decision because, with all due respect, as fun as DBZ is for people to watch, it's not. Sorry, it's long. It gets old.
It also runs over time, like every time. I don't think they've ever like scheduled it right in it.
Like every patch has tried to make the games go for less long, which should be telling about a game. Not to say it's not a good game.
Yeah, I got.
But to watch, sometimes it's just a bit.
Look, it's subjective. Some people like the game and love it for the spectacle it is. Some people don't think it's not as fun to watch. The TO in me wants to say, "Oh my god, I'm so glad they're holding it on a Saturday because the game legitimately goes forever."
It does.
Whenever I go to a Rambat and I have to address the issue of like how long Dragon Balls is gonna go, it's just like, but the spectator in me is a little bit displeased just because like from someone who does like Dragon Ball, it's gonna be sad to not see that on the main stage. I mean, I was there last year when like the iconic. Cell pick and you let his intro rock and the whole arena is yelling along with it and it's just something you have to experience.
Boys. How many buttocks on top of level 3s?
But yeah, it's just like I don't know. You're not gonna please everyone. It's just hard. And sometimes you have to address like those glaring issues like the logistics of running a tournament on time.
Yeah, I think I'm sure they wanted to, but I think you can't put all those games on the same day, right? It's just there's not enough time in the day. And Dragon Ball.
If I remember correctly, Street Fighter finished around midnight last year, which is just it's not on. And you also have to address the time zone in which you're streaming it to, like your audience. Some people are gonna stay up till like 3-4 a.m. and you don't want that, especially if they're an audience.
Because it finished at like 6 p.m. or like 5. I'm pretty sure Evo finished right at 5:15 p.m. on a Monday, and I was just like, "Oh, this is great!" I'm like just finishing work and get to catch like the grand finals of Takedo versus thing. But I had I guess that makes sense. That if I got to watch it at a good time for me, that means that
everybody, if Australia is having a good Evo time zone experience, they've messed up somewhere along the way.
Exactly. No one else.
Yeah.
No one
else is having
a good time for like this island of the world, and then everyone else is just like, why am I watching this at 4 a.m.?
It's like we should be the ones waking up at like 4 a.m. to watch a US tournament. I think that's how it normally goes.
Yeah. I'm too diehard to check the tapes. All right.
It's just not the same. It's not the same if it's not live, right?
Yeah.
So you guys have the interest to travel this year? Any other places amongst except Evo, or that's the main goal?
We really wanted to go to Combo Breaker. Like really, really wanted to go to. I wish we went to I want to go to Chi-Town and like see what it's like as well. I hit 24-hour casuals. Like that sounds like a dream where you can just literally plant yourself somewhere and there'll be people like international competition.
Yeah,
or at least Americans, which to us is obviously international.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Xavier, someone who's been to Evo, it's probably a while. You said 2014.
Yeah.
One glaring issue that a lot of people that have addressed is like the lack of casuals. Is that enough of a drawback to probably say maybe skip Evo and focus on Combat Breaker, where you do get that matchup experience or the casual experience. Because in my opinion, like, Evo is the biggest tournament in the world, FGC wise, but coming up close to it is
One second.
yeah, all good. I just keep talking.
Holy.
Coming up close to behind into it. If there were any events in the world that could catch up, or they are Combo Breaker and CEO.
Yes.
I think those are the two ones that's like on everyone's radar when they think US tournaments that aren't Evo. I think at least for me, like, I think there's something about Evo that I want to go at least once.
Yeah, no, 100%. If you play fighting games, you have a general interest at all, you almost have to.
You're almost obligated. It's kind of like
you're almost obligated. You have to, like, maybe even twice. But
it's like the pilgrimage we all have to make at some point.
It's like Mecca.
It's like, yeah, you literally have to. You have to do it. You know, as far as like lack of setups, whatever. I'll take my own setup. I'll sit down somewhere and set up. People
Look, it's
can
not impossible to play.
Yeah,
get games in. It's just during the, like, you're gonna have to find times around the tournament, like at someone's house. I mean, or someone's apartment or something like that.
Oh yeah. We'll ingratiate ourselves with the local population. I'm sure.
Okay, so that's literally the best. That's literally the best advantage of going overseas for me, is because, like, I had never had a panic attack in my life, and like my first experience of Evo was I was in a hotel room with like what's his name, Anakin, Naps, and like all these like really cool Tekken players. We was chilling, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was and then like I went and met all like San Diego, SoCal players who were like hooked us up as well. Like, making friends with internationals because they never get to see Australians. Like, don't if you know how to play and you don't feel if you don't feel too apprehensive talking to people, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take if you don't try to like at least network when you go overseas. Because what you're doing is representing the Australian community. But actually, I'm saying this, and then I realize, wait, it doesn't work out for everybody. So, but making friends with internationals. Like when I went to see him, hanging out with like Kramer, Ramasama, Fubaduck, and like going to lunch. There's nothing like it, and Australians are a rare species when it comes to the international stage. It's like, wow, you guys actually play and travel. Like, what? You're not Somniac? What?
There's more than one of you? Yeah. Nah, I think like by the time like we got to know like say those people, I think we were just walking through somewhere in Singapore, and you just hear someone yelling out in the distance, Australia! And it's just like some of the people from the tournament we were just yelling at us, being like they recognized us, and we hung out with them for the rest of the day. So yeah, it was like Fuba Duck and the rest of those people. Tournament's a great place to learn fighting games, but also a great place to like meet other people and meet players from other countries. So.
And also, it really brought the Australian community together, because even though we were from like Perth and Melbourne and Sydney, it's like we're consensually all identified as Australians, and then we just all hung out in our corner. Yuvan got out his laptop. I went and bought some drinks, and then we had Mim, who was just hanging out. So it's like, hey, you guys want a drink? You want to play some casuals? We have. And then all China came along. Like Boken, shout out to Boken, the former manager of who does he? He's part of PXG now. So anyway, get some friends. And
what brutal advice! Just get some friends, bro. So just suck it up and go out there and get some friends. But if you
think about it in the sense that everybody's a gamer, and the only thing really separating you from other people is probably your own and their own social anxiety. So if you can circumvent that by like just being like, "Hey, I'm Xavier. Nice to meet you." That's how I made friends with like Reketsu and Guilty, I guess. Yeah. But,
do you think on that topic? Do you think I think you might be able to answer this a bit better than Rumours. just because of how long you've been in the FGC. Do you think like the FGC as it is now, Australia, is a little bit closer socially than it used to be, or?
Okay, so social media, whilst it may have been a mistake, um, it's created the opportunity and potential for there to be more community cohesion, right? So people can communicate and negotiate and schedule better for when they should be having the online meetups or offline meetups, or even online, uh, like by virtue of the fact that Rumours is a part of the community, and the way that he really got in was through like Well Played, right? Who also sent people down to like BAM and stuff. It's like, yeah, if you can find the right channels, then people can get closer. The only kinds of problems I find are like not enough people willing to take responsibility for organizing things. And some of the people who do try to take the responsibility on do a pretty bad job of it, and then people have a bad experience of it, or like or it's just not well communicated with all the other different institutions or organizations like us that also put on events. So I don't know. Did that answer your question?
No, it did. It did. It's just
but
because
yeah.
it was just highlighting on the fact that like internationally, you had the Australians being like seen as a tight knit group. You're bringing them together, and I'm just like, is that due to the fact that in this era of the FGC, we're a bit closer than I want to say we used to be, like back in like the old Shadowloo days or the early OHN days. You had like Tekken that would stick with Tekken, Street Fighter that would stick with Street Fighter.
Classic state rivalry was a thing of
or even like Melbourne versus Sydney. Like how many people interstate would really get along with each other?
Yeah, and they didn't. But with all due respect, that's because like people in Sydney just wanted. People in both states just wanted to have a one-up over the other groups, but to me, it's like.
See, I can't even imagine that. I can't even imagine. Yeah. I coming in as someone who's entirely new compared to that. I can't well, it's always the Aussies when we travel overseas. Yeah, it's the Aussies versus the world. That's kind of like the mentality.
Back in the day, it was just like Sydney versus Melbourne or Sydney versus Brisbane. It was just constant war.
That's bizarre to me. Yeah, I guess that's how new I am. Holy shit.
I can't speak on the Street Fighter side of things. Like I've heard stories, I've been there, but yeah.
Man, I can't believe Rhett came down and shut all of Melbourne up.
Don't remind us of that. The thing is that is, it's like.
I won't mention it again.
It's like on that topic, we've matured enough, and the scene has come close enough to a point where like that and Interstate are coming and fucking us up. We'll be like, we're cool mates with him anyway, so it's not as a bad thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's more like how far. The way I see it, we're looking at how far can Australia go. So yeah, that's why I fully encourage Rumours obviously and Roth. I'm like, yeah, I want Roth. I want you to perform well. You work hard. You deserve to showcase the best of what Australia has to offer. And with any luck, that will inspire other people in the community, like new players coming in, to strive to get to a level where we can be like, oh, you're Taquito, like why should I be worried? That's the dream, the ideal.
So do you guys feel like a little bit more sense of like responsibility being pro gamers in Australia? It's not just about gaming, it's more about trying to bring up the community as well, if you feel like you're responsible.
Because how else are we going to get better individually if our competition, like the people that we practice against, if they're still running their $2 online tactics?
That's one of the things I think I always disagreed with Roth on the most. Whenever I would play people, I would always chat to them after the game, type and be like, oh, what I did there was fake, this is wrong, you should be doing this and this to punish Birdie. And Roth would always be like, don't tell them that. I'm like, well, how am I going to get better if the competition here is still falling for the dumb shit that I do that's entirely fake? Whereas internationals, they know better. They know, they've studied it. I mean, I want to get better. I want the community to improve. So I'm not sure if it's like responsibility and it obviously like a bit of self-serving, but I guess it's mutually beneficial where I guess I want the community to improve so that I can improve. I want the community to grow so that like my experience in the community gets better as well. Like, and
So you got to start small with the community and
yeah.
like actually get people into the offline. Like that's the hardest.
Oh yeah, the hardest part. I'm always out there being like, no, trying to like drag people out the locals. So like when there's new players, I'll be like, oh, you're in Sydney. You're like, yeah, come on down. We're going to do the YSB this week. Come on down. We're all gonna be there. It's gonna be great. We're gonna go out for lunch or something. Go to dinner afterwards. It's gonna be awesome. Always try and drag people to locals because again, you grow the community.
Is it harder to drag people to locals than majors, or?
I think if it's their first one, they're always a bit apprehensive. They're always like, I'm not that good. I'm like, well, look, there's all these people. I've seen people there. They don't know what, like, no, some people just, it's their first time.
I go, so I get
like, it's so chill. Just come hang out, we'll have some beers, play some games. It'll be fun. I think it's just like that first time stepping out, going to a community that's entirely already established, and just knowing, like, it's a different experience. I think, yeah, some people are easier than others, but gotta do it, right? Gotta make that first step.
Yeah. You know what I think would actually be revolutionary is if at like offline events they had name tags for people. Right?
I'm listening. I'm listening.
Yeah, bear with me.
Where's this going?
Yeah, listening apprehensively. Go on.
This just seems like more work for organizers, but let's go. I want to hear this.
The TO should issue
all
name
requires is just buying a few like blank name labels, and then so especially for first timers, like there are people who come to YSB for the first time, and they come and they're like, "This is really cool, but I didn't like really know who was who, and I can't remember the person who I was playing casuals with for the last hour and a half, and I didn't want to ask for his name again, so." Yeah, I don't think I'm going to go back just in case he remembers me. Like, it can be very anxiety-inducing for people when they don't know other people's names, which is typically why I try to introduce myself, and I don't care if a person forgets my name, because it's just... like no one actually is scared of someone forgetting their name, but people are scared of forgetting other people's names. So I'm just saying that this would be a small thing that that event organizers could do to alleviate the kind of anxiety that, like, people who come for the first time not knowing anybody, yeah.
I think to address that, I know like it was not the biggest Twitter topic, but one that was brought up like, in the past couple of weeks. It's just making them feel inclusive at the first moment. Like you recognize, and that's something like I talk about responsibility, but just anyone who's a veteran in the scene just should have the awareness. If you want to cultivate the scene, like address that issue. If someone's new, like talk to them. Just like you have your usual friends who you bum a fuck around with and play games. But if someone's new, like don't leave them hanging. Like say hi to them. Like tell them what's it all about. They'll get a warmer impression of what's up.
Yeah, no, I agree on that part. When we see people new, I think there is like it's maybe it is a responsibility then. Yeah, I think you have like almost an obligation to make sure.
Because if it's a person's first time there, they're watching two people play on the setup for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it's like, he's not about to ask, "Can I have a turn?" That's a big thing. Like that's a big thing that I always do. I like yelling at people to say, "Hey, rotate casual," right? Like because people don't. Because
I make that known. Not only as a TO, just
yeah. So, and I get that. That doesn't mean people are hogs. It's just, there's, as all fighting game players can attest to, there's nothing like being able to play your favorite thing for hours on end.
Yeah.
Who like challenge you, like, and that's it, man. That's it. Like, yeah.
Nice. So I just wanted to. You guys have briefly touched on it. I just wanted to get it fully. On the new, just if you can divulge info on the new sponsor you guys are a part of, like how that came about, and
I think this is more of a Xavier question then.
This is a good question. Okay.
Yeah.
So genuine gaming,
and I don't know if like I obviously I can't divulge into info that's like might not be public, but like was this did this happen before while you were part of Avant, or you guys left because of this possible venture?
Like I think that much is definitely out in the open.
Okay.
And like obviously the turnaround between Avant letting us go and Genuine picking us up was only a few days. So like yeah, we got approached by Genuine while we were part of Avant. And yeah, it was as far as I was concerned, it was just a hands down better offer. As certain announcement will come in the future, we'll see. But yeah, I'll let Xavier cover the rest of like how they got to us though.
Okay. First things first. Avant and I was a cool split. I have nothing but appreciation for Avant. There were logistical problems, but I think that was just like everyone adjusting to Gfinity.
Yep.
Now, Genuine Gaming. So, Genuine Gaming, as the name suggests, they're striving to build the genuine image of how they ideally want esports organizations to promote communities, right? So you do that with choosing players that can act as role models that will in turn cultivate offline communities, or like places for especially like young, like say high school or post high school, like a social club, right? Like at a place like BKB. So what they'll be doing is actually running events online and offline, and they'll help people travel as well over time. Just when all the details are fleshed out, then there'll be an official announcement. But what Genuine Gaming tries to do is build proper communities to create a better name for gaming, ultimately. Not the kind of basement, like I'm at home on my computer streaming and yelling at people and then just, thriving off the salt and the toxicity. It's like they want to see Australia grow. And we are. I mean, like this week has been huge. Like I said, all the pickups of all the players, and so Yuvin and I obviously for Street Fighter, they picked up Eli for Tekken, which is so well deserved, and Yusuf, who's been in the fighting game community since I was in high school, and Shrix, who's like a Canberra Smash player, and they're only very new as an organization, but they'll also be working with other. They'll be working in tandem with other community organizations like Ozhido and Couch Warriors to again promote the community, promote growth, and give the Australian scene what I think it really deserves, which is like a way and a place for people to be incentivized for participating and supporting the local community.
That's hectic. That seems like they're very,
genuine.
Yeah. I didn't want to use that term, but a lot of organizations out there that sponsor players, they have their agenda. Like a lot are good, some are focused on the players, but they're actually this one sounds like they actually give a damn about the community, and it's one of their core values. I hate to use that term again, but
well, it's just all these like danger words you got to avoid. Nah.
We're not just a buzzword salad, I promise.
Yeah.
No, that's great. That's great. And for someone who holds like such values to their heart, which encompass everything that FGC is about, can't wait to see what they're about and what they do, and just see you guys thrive.
Yeah, I think you guys, or the people who see it this year, and I guess hopefully into the future as well, big things will be coming. So I'm really keen. I think the rest of it we have to keep under wraps for now, but
yeah, obviously, can't let out all the goss.
Yeah, not always.
Yeah, the reason why I suppose Yuvin and I are sponsored is because we will, indubitably.
Yeah, good players, obviously.
Oh, well,
there's good players.
No, we it's more incumbent on us now to support these offline community meetups. Like, you're not just sponsored because, Yuvin's good. I gotta butter harder to make my bread worth it.
This guy so humble. I saw you perform at Gfinity. I've seen you perform at majors.
Yeah.
Thanks. But yeah, just old and maybe a bit ahead of the curve. Yeah.
Awesome.
So I want everyone to get there. Like my dream is that for what I'm able to experience now is that like there'll be some snot-nosed kid coming in at 18 years old who'll get like the shit slapped out of him, and then be like, oh wait, you mean this is actually a good place that's worth my time, effort, and heart, right? Like, and then those kids will, with any luck, pay it forward to the to the next generation of kids. Like I don't want everyone to just retreat into like their hubs at home and like just live on their computer and and not be able to experience what the death of the arcade scene was. It's like gaming brought me a lot of the friends that I have.
Yeah,
and
I agree. Shit, the stuff that I got to do now because of fighting games, the people I met, places, countries I travel to now, and the ones I'm going to in this year in the future. I can't even imagine that. Like 6 years ago, like if you told me I was gonna be like traveling overseas to play tournaments, you're like, no, get the fuck out of here. It's like no way that's happening.
Yeah. But also we can encourage try to encourage younger people as well to get not just their gaming together, but like other elements of their like life. Like if they're struggling with stuff at school or like at home, people to talk to. So it can double as like a mentorship kind of gig where like top players aren't just top players because like they're good at being pricks, but like
shout out to no one in particular.
Shout out to no one. But yeah, if the culture continues moving in the way that like titles like Apex and Fortnite, then I don't see great things happening to like the psyches of like young people. So what can I do to improve the world that I live in is like foster good communities and environments for people to get to do what I do, pretty much.
Yeah, the social aspect of fighting games is, I know it's kind of hard to see in this timeline, especially if you didn't grow up during the arcades, but like it's prevalent and it's a good part of our community. So I just any organization or any movement that promotes that, I'm all for. I'm all for. One more topic on the issue of sponsorship. Have you guys dealt with like the issues surrounding having sponsors and making sure the deal is right and whatnot? Because it's not something that you're taught with, along with like learning frames and like like learning and seeing matchups and like so all of a sudden I've got a contract in front of me. Is this good? Should I just take it? Or I'm not sure how much you've had to deal with issues on that level.
Know what you're meant to receive, and ideally, if like a person was going to get sponsored for Street Fighter, either you want equipment if you're good, or you want travel. There's no point in them. Well, I mean, they can pay you money if they can pay you money, but you should have detailed expectations. And getting sponsored shouldn't mean that like, oh, I'm going to get paid money to play video games. It's like, all right, so what does the organization expect of me? Do I need to stream? Do I need to represent the organization to like increase their exposure, or am I just or am I going to fly and represent them internationally, or is my online presence going to be enough like enough source for interaction for them?
I think like you said, there's no one out there that kind of like teaches that. It's kind of like you going to your first job interview. You're suddenly kind of like in this kind of almost the same position of, hey, I need to impress this person, but you forget that they also want you. And there is this kind of like important thing that was just like know your worth. Like unfortunately, I think like say for some of us, we learn through experience of like going through bad contracts. I know I've heard like horror stories and this
100%
of like from past people I haven't had anything, horrendously bad or anything, but I mean, you just learn over time. Obviously, coming as a person who's actually a lawyer, I would say read the contract. Make sure the things that they promise you are in there, in writing. It's much harder for them to back out of something they promised you if it's in writing.
Yep.
So, in terms of get your contract sorted, get the things you want, and get it written down. If you don't know what you're worth, talk to the people around you. Obviously, there's people in the community now who've seen these kind of things. You're not bound by privacy, to broadly discuss again your contracts with them. See if they think it's a good deal. See what they think their opinion is. The last thing you want to do is be locked into a contract for a year or whatever, and you feel like you're not getting anything out of it, but you're obligated to support them. It's just it's a bad place to be.
It's a headache.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the problem a lot of organizations had when they came into Oceania, I'll tell you guys about my first sponsorship experience, Nuovo, right?
Here we go.
Oh, I know. So, let's hear this.
Oh, here we go.
Let's hear
This
this.
is ancient histories. This is year one Street Fighter.
No, some people don't know about this. It'll be good for them to hear.
All right, so check this. There's this dude from Southern California who was interested in investing in what he foresaw to be the next up and coming thing, Oceanic esports, right? Mm-hmm. So he went down. He was like, "Yeah, I'm going to sponsor all you players. We're going to show all the other esports organizations how it's about." And it's like, "Cool, sign here." Okay. Now what do we get? What are you guys going to give me? And it's like, I don't know. What did you expect of us? And it's like, well, what can you guys do? Do any of you stream? It's like, not really. We play fighting games, and it's not good to play online in Australia. Oh, okay. So what are your events? So we have 2 events a year. We've already missed the first one. The next one is in September. It's like, okay, we can maybe pay you for that. Let's look closer to the date. Pretty much didn't hear anything from the dude. And then just following the Twitter timeline, it's like, wow, all these players are leaving this organization. Mm-hmm. And then a week after OHN, it's like, yeah, I'm having a nervous breakdown. Please email me and I was like, okay. And then, yeah, he had eyes bigger than his stomach. Mm-hmm. So the lesson to learn from Nuovo is you got to outline very clear expectations of the player expected of by the organization and what you as a player can how you can be supported by the organization, whether that's by equipment, like streaming equipment, if that's the thing, or helping you travel, or even just paying for entry for offline events if you need if you can do with the support. Or what I'm trying to do, I suppose, with what Genuine Gaming will do is supporting offline events that will incentivize casual participants to enter and to turn up, and they'll get there will be stuff for them just for coming. Yeah, word is bond.
Yeah, definitely. Like Rumours was saying, there's no guideline when it comes to handling these organizations. I think it's just go by experience and the people that have come and gone before you. But at the same time, it's a reoccurring term. Know your worth.
Yeah, it's genuine. It's central, your bargaining chip. It's you have to know what you're worth before you can go in and expect things from others. You don't want to. Not only do you want to not have an undervalued opinion of yourself, but you don't want to go and be demanding, yeah, I want trips to every CPT event in the year. You got to be realistic. These are Australian organizations. There's limited capital. They do what they can, but you got to know your worth, know what they can offer, and find a happy middle ground that works for everyone. It's easier said than done, but over time, I think it makes sense.
Nice.
What's up?
I don't know if you guys wanted to bring up something else, but if not, I think we've hit our question time. Unless there's something else that you guys wanted to cover or bring up.
Nah, well, it's nothing from mine. I think.
I Oh yeah, guys, if you can follow at Genuine Gaming.
You gotta do this shit.
We have a segment at the end for shout outs, so I'll save that for that.
You got the show section. Yeah, sick.
Yeah. Usually we take questions from myself in the chat. I'll spearhead us off. A common one I do, depending. Yeah, is for both of you. You can both answer this. Do you guys have your most memorable loss or most saltiest loss that like haunts you?
Oh.
Yeah, Ant-Man. I lost to Ant-Man at BAM last year, and I was like, I can't beat this guy. It's like,
Street Fighter 5?
Yeah, it's funny because, like, say, I'd perform a lot better against players than, like, Ant-Man, but Ant-Man has, like, you know that, his brain, his play style works well for what I attempt to do with the game, and it tilts me. He's just an opponent that like I was just always frustrated versus. But yeah, when I versed Xian last year at Seam, so he won the first game, and then I won the second game, and then he won the third game. He opened me up, but that's not the saltiest thing about that loss was that only for my match did the stream go down at Seam. So. That was my saltiest loss.
Yeah, your saltiest loss was losing the win that you had against Shen.
Losing.
You lost to Capcom streaming tech.
Yeah, I couldn't even go back and watch that. That was.
Yeah.
How about yourself, Rumours?
I think this is more like who I am. I think I don't really get salty or like
you're
stung
one
by
of those
loss.
guys. Boring
But no.
I'm kidding.
There is one though that haunts me. Like doesn't haunt me. It still stings.
Mm-hmm.
So all of my overall losses against like good players, whatever, they don't matter. But the only time I've felt like genuinely salty was on the Gfinity stage when I lost to Chopper. I think in the second game. It's the first time I felt cheated by a game mechanic. Where it was just like the setup was like he pressed the button. No, I pressed the button. He parried it, and I reacted with a critical art. And critical art's I'm going to be like invulnerable, entirely invincible. Sorry.
What beats a super?
Yeah, nothing beats a super. That's just it. But it went through Abigail's parry, which was already like running out, and it just like went.
And then you got full counted for your super.
Yeah, and then it just went down to front. And of all the losses, the one where I've like it's entirely out of my control. There was nothing I could have like. I mean, like. Had I known that mechanic existed where, like, I'm not sure if they coded it like that or what the issue was, but that's the first time I felt robbed. And I still think about that, I'm just like, because, I don't know, that's the one that gets me.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, not so nice.
No, not nice.
I got a question from Ghost Chips. Do you guys see New Zealand events being on your horizon this coming year?
Yes. I want to come. Hey, all right, Ghost Chips. Which one should I go to? Chopper. Ghost Chips.
I think if you were gonna go to one, like obviously the more the merrier. But I think if you're gonna go to the one, is one at the end of the year is the Southern Cross Up, which I think is the biggest. They'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I think I wanted to go last year, but I think it was around the same time as Seam, and I just started a new job, so I didn't have leave. But this year, if it's on and it's not on the same weekend as Seam, 100% I'm going. Like it's like I can just fly down Friday night. I don't even need like if worst case I won't even need to take leave. But New Zealand is on the radar for sure. Southern Cross Up, is it September? Yeah.
It's really the least we owe for like them like traveling to like Australia as often as they do.
100%.
Like, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Also, I grew up in New Zealand. I haven't been back since I left. I should go back. Yeah.
Make a holiday out of it.
Yeah, might as well.
I have one question from this guy. Second name Baxter, first name Ham. How does it feel being two of the coolest dudes in the FGC?
Good old Baxter. You can always rely on him. Go for it, Xavier.
I mean, you must be talking to Abby because wrong number.
All right. It feels pretty good, guys. Like all three of us, it feels pretty good. I hope that answers your question, Baxter. One from Marty. Why do you think games like Soul Calibur 6 don't have a big presence in Australia?
Because if you're not even getting sufficient numbers to fill seats at main title games, as like as yeah, as imperfect as those titles might be, it's easier to eat the popular crap than it is to play the shiny like niche stuff in the corner. So unfortunately, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and from there, then you can go into playing whatever else you want to play. But
I think honestly, my answer is a lot simpler than that. I think it's just it has a block button. And people ain't used to that. People don't want that. It's like it's 3D and it has a block button. Like you lose like the Street Fighter players, or like, I guess the NRS players who used to block 2Ds with block buttons, and Tekken players 3D fighters with no block button as well. And then you're just like in this uncomfortable zone of just like the nichest elements of both of those going together.
Adding ring outs, which a lot of people aren't a fan of.
Yeah, I think it's just like a lot of game mechanics. Like,
I'm a fan of that mechanic.
Yeah, but like,
dude, so am I. Honestly, I'm just gonna say it, dude.
I think they're so cool.
Man the fuck up.
Yeah, I think they're cool. The thing is, like, my first fighting game was Soul Blade, like on the PS1. That's the one I put. Like, I was like a kid, like in a 6 or 7, grinding out Soul Blade. So when I heard like Soul Calibur telling me that, I'm like so excited. But I think it's just mechanically just too different from any of the mainstream fighting games. Because it looks cool. It's well designed. It's fun to see. It's just different. And
you have a limited amount of time to invest in learning, like especially mechanically technical games as well. So if like being me, who's like nearly 30 and has a full-time job, it's like I need to be selective about what kind of game I will be able to excel at, and will there be enough players in order for me to improve individually and also create like a community kind of atmosphere. Yeah. Sorry,
no, I don't think we answered that question. Next one. In the next Marvel game, Marvel vs. Capcom 4, what characters will you guys main if you play?
Like, is X-Men back or not? Let's
assume X-Men are back, just to make the fan base happy.
Yeah. But if X-Men's not back, then I've always been a fan of Doctor Strange and X-Men. Doctor Strange for one. Who's at least one character that you'd play? Even
me, I think I missed out on Marvel. At least like Marvel 3, and then Ultimate obviously kind of like Bond when it did. But I was playing, what was it, Nemesis and.
Of course you played Nemesis.
Yeah, I think I was Nemesis and like.
I'm looking at Birdie right now, like they.
I think I played Nemesis and maybe like Arthur or something. It was like some weird mix of like Yeah. So I'd probably run some troll team of something or other. Who knows?
Okay. Castle had a question. He said, "Who do I think would have been good at Street Fighter V if they tried?" And the obvious answer was that Adelaide. Who was the Ryu player? The Sildenafel. But I guess if he's
is that how you? I thought it's Slide.
No, Sildenafel.
Oh, is that it? You sure? All this time I've been reading it Slide Naffle or something.
I thought you were gonna bring up Shang.
Who? Oh,
Shang Tsung.
Who? Shang Tsung.
Yeah.
No, Shang Tsung had how to say? He had a good run in season 1.
Mm-hmm. And he was online too as well.
But he had his own problems with the game that I guess he was unwilling to reevaluate, and it was just more important that he concentrate on like his family.
Yeah,
I think he's a family man now.
Yeah,
he's a family man now.
Man. So for some people that makes you better, for some it doesn't.
Yeah.
Ghost Chip saying apparently he still plays, but yeah, no.
One from Baxter. Why do you think all Street Fighter players suck at every other fighting game, or don't you think?
Money Match Me in Marvel. Wait, no. Smash. Money Match Me in Smash. Is that a fighting game?
There you go. We can make it just for this. Just for this.
We'll make an exception just to shit on Baxter. Yeah.
But I don't know. Because Capcom maintains like the oldest formula of like 2D fighting games. So if we're forced to think in an extra element, like if there's another element to that equation, like complain sort of thing. I don't know. It's stubbornness, complacency. What kind of answer do you want? Yeah, I get it. Street Fighter 5 players are boring. I know.
Hey.
Oh, you finished what you were saying, Rumours?
Oh no, I was just saying. Fuck you. I'm gonna get good at Tekken. I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna get there. We're gonna do it.
Yeah, where you at, Baxter? Your little Tekken escapade is kind of falling apart. But yeah, I have one more, unless someone else from the chat wants to bring something up. Do you guys have any role models within the FGC or out that have helped you to any point?
Man, Alex Vaya was really, really nice to me. So was James Chen.
When someone might have given you some good advice at some point. Or something to take away that still holds with you today.
Yeah, Tasty Steve. I did an interview with Tasty Steve, which I'm actually going to post after this. I'll post it to you. Hopefully, Abby, you can It was last year at BAM where we had this like 3-minute chat / interview conversation thing about like what our thoughts were on the fighting game community and how we got to meet up, hang out, and be friends and have a great time at a major like BAM. Yeah, but what he told me was, and I'm gonna tell you guys, fuck the differences that you feel like you have with people in your community. Like, whatever you think is stopping you from engaging with and supporting your locals, that's more than probably either in your head or addressable by talking to people in a transparent, honest manner and trying to create the best outcome for not just your own self-interested self, like ego. Yeah, so get rid of your ego and support your local. That's mine.
I think for me, role models, I think there's a small group of people who I guess can collectively refer to as the WP Discord owners, or at least the people who run that now. I think a big part of why I'm where I am today is in no part, like it's almost entirely like because of the community that they grew. These are people who every Friday without fail were running online tournaments, running tourneys and fledgling tourneys as well for new people as well. They were doing commentary. They had this whole thing going, and it was like to grow the community. And they were doing it for like absolutely nothing. They were getting like shit on as well, you know, every time something goes wrong. But I think just like the people who run that gave me the first kind of like sense of being part of community. First joining the Discord, they all welcome you, make sure you know. When you ask for games, they'll send you to the right place. They'll match you with people. It was like this kind of like just warm, comforting place. So yeah, I think like Carb and Kavzi, I think like Nez as well, Puck and Onibaka. I'm sure I'm forgetting one. Oh, Castle as well now. He's doing so much now. LLL. Like there's all those people who run the WB Discord.
Thank you, everyone.
So much respect. Yeah, hands down. And someday I want to be, I guess, the kind of person that people would look to as a role model.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's where I want to be.
Why didn't you say look up to?
Hey, settle down there. Settle down. All right.
Baxter's got a question, but we've already addressed that. So go back.
We haven't already addressed it.
Go back and watch the VODs, Baxter.
Yeah. Learn a new game. I mean, I know your game's perfect or whatever, but like, you know, the point of being a fighting game player, especially a top player, is that you got to adapt to the times. You do that with only humility and perseverance and hard work. You don't do that with like okay, and complaints, entitlement, and like, oh, what?
Long story short, rewind.
Mhm.
Yeah, go back.
I guess that's all the questions. I got one more just to give the chat time to see if they got any more. Are there any particular internationals you would really like a set with or some casuals with?
Yeah, Xiaohai. I've always wanted to play against Xiaohai. He's the goal. Like, think about the scope of China, right?
Mhm.
Like, there's billion plus people, and this guy is like considered the golden child, the best out of the billion. You know, it's not like his dad is the owner of a major TV corporation, and he gets to travel to whatever tourney he wants. He's like literally the prodigious. His name is like Faster Reactions. Was born in an arcade. Yeah, I think Zhao Hai is a monster genius. He just doesn't really play Street Fighter 5.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's kind of like a cliche answer, but it's only because I think I've got the chance to play so many pros, and this one's kind of like the one that's left off the list is Taquito. I think especially because when I saw him at BAM, he was watching me play JWR, and like afterwards he's like trying to talk. He was talking to me about like how hard the matchup was. Like, yeah, we should play some games. And he's like, yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, I got a call the next day to have to like fly back to Sydney for a job interview, which is the job I'm currently at.
Yeah.
So I had to cancel my BAM trip short, and I never got to play that set. So yeah, I want to finish that. I want to play those games against Taquito.
Plus side is you're employed now.
Yeah, the good thing is now I have an actual job, not like that fake job I had before. Yeah, fuck that. Nah.
We got questions.
Um,
So Chips asked, what do you guys consider the most important aspect of a playstyle? Oh, Abby, I want you to answer this.
most important aspect of playstyle. Personally, I'm gonna say individuality. As long as you cultivate your own playstyle, for better or worse, like that's the playstyle that's gonna give you most enjoyment. And like after that, you can focus on how fundamentally sound it is and whatnot, and growing. But find a playstyle that works for you. Like, don't just copy someone else, because there's heaps of playstyles in this landscape of fighting games. But find what works for you.
Yeah, if you don't play as if you're having fun, like personally, when I play against people and I notice that the way they're playing, they're just not having. If I'm not enjoying playing games with a person, or like I don't feel like it's worth it, then I usually give it about 15 win streak or like 20 win streak. Like, I won't go much beyond the 20 win streak. I'll be like, all right, I need to take a break because this is no longer fun to me. And like, because otherwise it just becomes regressive after that. And, also think about the, like, look at replays of how you play. That's really important.
I think if I had to pick one thing that's the most fundamentally important, it'd be game sense. I think like overall, like if we're talking about like as a player, have fun, because you don't want to make sure you're having fun playing.
Look, there's
like generic answers, like,
there's
but like
different ways to answer this. Like, if you want to answer this in terms of like perfecting.
Perfecting the craft, I would say game sense.
100%.
Game sense, decision making, knowing what to do when, and what your opponent wants to do. Like, it's just like that overall. Yeah, what am I doing? What do I want to achieve? How do I achieve it? I think
in terms of enjoyment.
Yeah. Because if you've seen me play, I'm always like giggling like a fiend as I play. I remember people telling me like, stop talking to your opponent. Like, being like, bro, it's the middle of the match, just stop, just chill. But I'm always like, I'm always talking, laughing. So yeah, have fun, but like that's that side of it. But perfecting your craft, game sense, know what you're doing.
All right. Okay. Yeah, you both answered that. Yeah. We'll end with Baxter's one. What do you think? Who do you think is the best overall fighting game player of all time?
Sonic Fox.
Sonic Fox. Oh shit.
Jesus. Fighting game player of all time. You know what? Only because he's an absolute nut. PPMD. He's really cool. He's a cool guy. Like, yeah, I mean,
Was the question cool or was the question best? Fuck, I'm sure. Best. Alright.
Oh, best.
This is hard, and I think there's no right answer. I think it's it depends on the category.
Which period of time as well.
I'm gonna rock this. I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna go Kazunoku. That dude is dominant in basic. That dude is dominant in like almost every fighting game he plays.
That's a very good answer.
He is like, I think in like basically any game he plays, he'll make top 8 for sure, and like grand finals most of the time. Like that dude is straight up, yeah, insane. I think I have the most respect for him as an overall fighting game player.
Yeah, when Takedo came to Australia in 2007, he came to OHN, and he won every single game that he entered except Tekken, which he came second. Yeah.
Not many people remember he is a Tekken player. He was / is, yeah. But yeah. All right, guys. I think we're gonna end it there. We're almost at the 2-hour mark as well. Thanks very much.
Thank you, man. Seriously.
Very much appreciated, especially since this was last minute. Do you guys want to give shout outs? Rumours, shout outs?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not on the WP Discord, get your ass on there. It's basically the home Australian Street Fighter. On that, at Genuine Gaming, obviously the people who picked us up, they'll be doing big things this year. And also, yeah, obviously all 3 of us, The Beast, Rumours, and Spaceghost. Probably not in that order, but you know, follow us all. Yeah.
Yeah, where can the people hit you up, man? Like on social media wise?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Rumours. I think I'm also going to start either streaming or doing YouTube again, but I'll post that. It'll go on my Twitter at some point. So yeah, just follow me there. That'll be a start.
Spaceghost, shout outs?
Obviously at Genuine Gaming. Obviously at The Beast. At the Battlecat Bunker. But I guess Ozhado and Battlecat Bunker. Without them, I wouldn't be anywhere near like I guess connected because. The reason why I never watch podcasts, the reason why I'm never home. I don't own a computer. Like I just go to offline stuff, and there are enough people who are connected who can fill me in. And it just so happens that like, hey, you're apparently this is the kind of personality that the organization wants. So I'll do my damn best to make Genuine Gaming you a force to cultivate the Australian FGC. Yeah.
Nice. Where can the people hit you up if they want to follow you?
Oh yeah. Well, thank you, Ghost Chips at Zave Runs Godlike, or I don't know if you're not a bad person, find me on Facebook, Xavier Bryson. But find me from Twitter at Zave Runs Godlike. Actually, find my Instagram. Check my Instagram out at XAEYY Xavier. So, yeah.
All right, guys. That concludes episode 24 of the Beast Dance. Very much appreciated. Thanks to our guests again. Thanks for all who tuned in. Tune in next week. We got a special OG guest from timeline that's once passed, but he's coming back for some good talks. But yeah, thanks again. This is the Beast, Rumours, and Spaceghost signing off. It's been a pleasure. Catch you later.
Thank you all.
Cheers.
Peace.